Okay, engineers, one of your last assessments this year, before we do a quick beginning of the gaming unit for our last unit, I'm going to ask you to do one assessment for Unit 7, which was on functions and parameters. I'm not so concerned about every little thing. I just want to be able to see you create a function that utilizes parameters. You don't have to use the return feature or anything like that. So let me show you what I have in mind. You're going to create a little bit of modern art. So I'm going to call this random circle. You're going to go into your sandbox and you're going to need to create a graphics program for this, and we'll call it random circles, and I'll just show you how it runs. If I hit run code, you can see it created quite a few circles in there. What's unique about the circles is that they're random colors, so we're going to use a random generator for colors. They're random sizes within a certain range, so we're going to use a random number generator for the radii of the circles. And they're also positioned randomly. The center coordinate, which is how we place a circle, its x coordinate, horizontal, and its y coordinate, down, up and down, is randomly selected as well. So every time I hit that, it's going to give me a new pattern, and that's what we're after. Just so you know, it's not a lot of code. I'm looking at mine next to it, and with no spaces, it's 18 lines of code. So let's take a look at what I'd like to see when you turn this in. We'll use this document to guide us through this. So we're on Unit 7, Functions and Parameters. There's only going to be one aspect or an assessment here. I'm going to call this Random Circle Art. So it says, in your sandbox, create a JavaScript graphics programs. Remember, when you're setting up the programs you want to make in your sandbox, select graphics. That makes modern art by randomly generating, I'm going to say 100 to 200. I'm not overly concerned about the number. You can play around with it, which one you like the most. 100 to 200 circles of various radii, color, and position. So like we said before, the colors were randomly generated, the radii were randomly generated, and so were the x and the y positions. So this is what I want to see in your code when we're looking at this is, it says, in this assessment, you will utilize the following. So I like it. In under 20 lines of code, we're asked to demonstrate some of the skills that we've learned throughout this entire COVID learning process. So you're going to have to use random generators for colors, radii, and position. You're going to have to remember how to add simple graphics. So we're only going to add circles in this case. We're going to use functions and parameters. So obviously we're not going to create, and we're going to use a for or a while loop, some sort of a loop. You're obviously not going to write a program that's going to create 100 separate unique circles in different positions. So the requirements are as follows. The start function should call a function called CircleMaker. So I want you to actually call that in your code. That utilizes 4 input parameters. The parameters for radius, color, x and y position should be randomly generated. Therefore, your CircleMaker function should take the form, remember this should look familiar for those of you who have been doing Unit 7, CircleMaker, radius is a parameter, color is a parameter. I called it x position, or x pos, and y pos for x and y positions. The start function should declare the following variables using their appropriate randomizer functions and their associated value ranges. So we're going to create a variable for the radius, and it's going to randomly choose a radius between 1 and 75. We're going to create a variable for the x position, and it's going to randomly choose an x position between 0. And remember how we talk about the x position? Its get width is the entire window. So we want it to randomly select a position somewhere within this range. And similarly for the y position, we're going to create a variable that will randomly select the y position of the center of the circle from 0 to get height. And remember the coordinate system, 0, y is here, and all of these, as I move down, I'm increasing in get height. So those will be our randomized numbers in that case. So if you need help, you know I got office hours from 3 to 4. And once you have this done, you're going to go ahead and we're going to start on do our quick turbo part of the last unit, which is games. For seniors, this will probably be your last assessment. Okay? Come and see me if you need help. Bye.